everybody, and welcome to the Home Team Friday Preview Show. Welcome to week number 6 of the high school football season. Hard to believe that after this week, there's only 3 more weeks left in the regular season in Indiana. I'm Randall Parmley. Michael Gilbert.
I'm Michael Gilbert, and during every Thursday during the season, we'll get you ready for each week's slate of games. Remember, this is online only, and you can find each new show each week, Thursday, here on TriStateHomepage.com. I can't believe it's week 6.
Yeah, like I said, 3 weeks left after this week in the regular season in Indiana. Then we're going to be talking about sectionals before we know it.
That's the best time.
It's getting time for teams to really start putting their best foot forward right now. All right, let's go ahead and get started with the show. Headlines for week number 6. And we're going to start with the top 2 teams in the SIAC. Both of them won last week. One survived quite a scare, and that's Memorial. The Tigers managed to escape Enlow Field with a 24-14 win against Bosse. The Tigers get this led only 3-0 at halftime before putting together a few drives in the second half. Memorial is now 5-0, and they are tied for first place in the SIAC with a 3-0 conference record.
And the other undefeated team in the conference, Central, had a much easier night for the second week in a row. The Bears' offense exploded. Central had no problems with Castle blowing out the Knights 38-7 after a slow start. Central is now red hot. They stay perfect in the SIAC at 3-0, and the Bears, they're at Harrison tomorrow night.
In the Bluegrass State, Madisonville, North Hopkins, speaking of hot teams, they just keep on winning. The Maroons are now 5-0 with a 41-7 win over Ballard Memorial. A huge test for Madisonville, though, this weekend. They host undefeated Logan County. That's a top 10 matchup in Kentucky, and that's a big district game. And by the way, you can see it live on the CW7 Friday night at 7. All right, let's talk about those 3. Memorial. I was at the game. Give Bosse a lot of credit. The Bulldogs, their defense came to play. They were not intimidated by Memorial, but the Tigers were a bit sloppy, especially in that first half. They just couldn't get anything going offensively.
Well, this is 2 straight weeks where Memorial hasn't shown their real true colors, and they were able to overcome adversity, Randall, and I think that's a big platform for them, but they have to clean things up once they play better teams.
Well, I'll give Mater Dei a lot of credit for Memorial not playing very well offensively 2 weeks ago. As far as Central, they're exactly who we thought they would be at the start of the season. They got off to a slow start, but my goodness, the Bears offense has put it together now, and they have, I don't think anyone thought that they would blow out Wrights and blow out Castle, but that's exactly what they did. The offense is playing great. The defense is playing stellar as well.
I think everybody wants to talk about the offense, but I think the defense is just as noteworthy. But it's scary the way Central can orchestrate their offense and to score that many points week in and week out. So we'll just see if they can continue to roll and keep it rolling.
They really are firing on all cylinders right now. And as far as Madisonville goes, there's nothing much more that you can say about the Maroons that we haven't said so far this season. The defense has been outstanding. The offense has been outstanding. Their biggest test of the season is against Logan County this weekend. And keep in mind, they have split against Logan County the last 2 years. They lost to Logan County 2 years ago, big district game. Logan County went on to have a fantastic season. Last year, they beat Logan County on the way to a district championship. And you have to believe the winner of Friday night's game, they're in the driver's seat for another district championship in Kentucky.
Yeah, a lot riding on this district game, and I think a lot of people want to talk about Dry Hightower, but get this, the Maroons, their defense is only allowing 8 points per game, roughly around 8 points per game to opposing offenses. I mean, that when you add that defense and you have that spectacular offense, good things can happen. It's just only a matter of time if Madisonville North Hopkins can get a win against Logan County.
There's a reason why I've had Madisonville North Hopkins #1 in my power rankings all season long. All right, let's take a look at the schedule of games that you will see tomorrow night on Home Team Friday. It's going to be another big show. We have 12 games scheduled this week, and we're going to start in the SIAC. Memorial will be at Wrights. Central is at Harrison. North is at Bosse, and Mater Dei will be at Castle.
The biggest game of the night, no doubt, will be in the pocket. Gibson Southern is at Heritage Hills.
That's a dandy.
Oh my goodness, that's a good one. And this game may knock someone out of the conference championship race, and that's this week's Home Team Fridays showdown. Elsewhere, Tell City is at Southridge. chance for the Marksmen, who are 4-1, to get a statement win. Southbridge is 5-0. Forest Park will be at North Posey in the Big Gate. Princeton is at Jasper. Mount Vernon is at Boonville. And Vincent's Lincoln will be at North Knox.
In Kentucky, here's the aforementioned Madisonville, North Hopkins, or Logan County matchup. And again, that is our TV game this week. And in Illinois, how about this? We're going to see Carmi and Fairfield for the first time this year. Carmi, White County, having an outstanding. But what about the Mules? They are undefeated, and this defense, get this, has not given up a point this season. You know, we talked to Fairfield in the preseason, and they were telling us they felt like this is their best team that they've had, and they've had two unbelievably good seasons back-to-back. But man, they are just on a roll this year. All right, let's break down a couple of those matchups. We call it the Big Three, and we're going to start with the big one in the pocket. And I'm telling you, this is one of the marquee matchups in the entire state. Gibson Southern is at Heritage Hills, and this is offense against defense. The Titans averaged nearly 49.5 points a game. They hung a 60-burger on Princeton last week. Heritage Hills is ranked 3rd in 3A. Gibson Southern is 5th. This should be a dandy in the jungle. I cannot wait to see these highlights tomorrow night.
That's right, Randall, and it's really a rumble in the jungle. And here's why. That Heritage Hills defense is stingy. They give up only 5 points a game. That's 5th best in the state. And like we said, offense versus 5th best in the state and in all classes. But the Patriots are not just one-dimensional. They can score too, averaging over 42 points a game. They beat Gibson Southern 31-7 last year in the regular season, but then they lost to the Titans 24-14 in sectionals.
And I guarantee you Heritage Hills remembers that sectional loss last year ruined a perfect season for them. Right, let's jump to the SIAC now, where Mater Dei is taking on Castle. The Wildcats bounce back from that Memorial loss with a 45-27 win last week against North. And Michael, the way that Memorial and Central are playing, this is probably a must-win game for both teams. I'm not sure Mater Dei has a chance of winning the conference with 2 losses. Must-win game? I think it is.
I think you're right, Randall. Castle, just like Mater Dei, is 2-1 in the SIAC, and the Knights have to forget about their clunker last week to Central, and they have looked good in their 2 conference wins. Like we said, against Rice and Bosse Duckhurst's team beat Mater Dei last year, snapping a 5-game losing streak against the Wildcats. They'll need a win.
Let's jump to the Big 8 now, and this is a big one in terms of the conference championship race. Mount Vernon travels to Boonville. The Wildcats are one of the hottest teams in the Big 8 right now. Corey Brunson's team has won back-to-back games by a combined score of 83-20. Mount Vernon is 2-0 in the Big 8. They're tied with Jasper for first place in the conference.
But Boonville, Randall, needs this game in a bad, bad way. The Pioneers have lost 3 in a row. That's the bad news. Well, the good news, Boonville opened up the year with back-to-back conference wins, so they are still in pretty good shape at 2-1 in the conference, and Boonville has won the last 4 against Mount Vernon. Darren Ward has never lost to the Wildcats, so a win Friday night gets Boonville back on track, Randall.
And I think if Boonville loses this game, that they're pretty much done as far as a chance to win the Big 8 this year. If Mount Vernon wins, then you have to believe, heading down the home stretch, that Mount Vernon and Jasper are the 2 teams in the driver's seats in the Big 8. All right, time to move on now, and time for everyone's favorite segment, Veach's Nuggets of the Week. So let's bring him in fresh off vacation. Veach, good to see you. I see you're working on that base tan right there from last week down in Key West.
Hey, thanks for noticing, Randall. Hey, I'm back, baby. Back from Key West, that is. Hey, you like my tan? What tan? Whatever. Well, we've already reached week number 6 with some big matchups this week that could decide conference titles. So here are my Nuggets of the Week, starting in the Big 8. Mount Vernon at Boonville. Boonville. What happened to you? After a strong start, the Pioneers have lost 3 straight now. It's almost as bad as the Cubs collapsing. So what's the problem? Well, Boonville keeps getting run over. In their 3 losses, the Pioneers have allowed, on average, 301 rushing yards. Is that bad? It's not good. And Boonville will be going up against an explosive offense in Mount Vernon. The Wildcats have been lighting up the scoreboard this season, averaging close to 33 points a game. And this Mount Vernon team has a chance to do something no other Wildcats team has done. Win a Big 8 title in football. That's right, the Wildcats have 0 Big 8 championships, and this is their last chance with the conference disbanding after this year. It's Nugget time, Boonville. You seem to have lost that magic from last season. 3-game losing streak, you get a 4-piece. Mount Vernon, a chance to stay in the Big 8 title hunt this week. I'll give you a 6-piece. Okay, switching over to the SIAC, Mater Dei at Castle. I won't sugarcoat it, the Knights got stomped last week at Central. After a slow start, we've been waiting for the Bears to look this good all season. And to quote Dennis Green, they are who we thought they were. And we let them off the hook. Castle couldn't get anything going at Central Stadium. In fact, the Knights were held to only 4 total first downs, only 1 in the first half. Can they bounce back this week? Well, they're facing a Mater Dei team that's averaging 38 points a game after knocking off North. Now, this overall series between these two has been pretty neck and neck, with the Wildcats slightly leading 23-22, dating back to their first game in 1972. Hey, you know what came out in 1972? The Godfather. So Castle and Mater Dei, I'm gonna offer you some nuggets you can't refuse. Castle, you took a beating. I have to give you a 4-piece for that. Mater Dei is back on that horse after last week's win and prepares for, get this, its first game away from the Wrights Bowl this season. Wildcats, you get a 6-piece. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the main event. Gibson Southern and Heritage Hills, a titanic battle in the jungle. This is a matchup we've all been waiting for this season, and these two are playing some great football. How great, you may ask? Well, Gibson Southern has the state's 4th highest scoring offense at more than 49 points a game, while Heritage Hills, as said earlier, they have the 5th best defense, allowing an average of 5 points a game. So something's got to give. The two split last year, but Nick Hart, he's gotten the better of Todd Wilkerson with a 6-3 advantage since the two coaches took over their programs in 2012. To quote Michael Buffer, let's get ready to rumble. This matchup alone, I'm giving it a 20-piece, baby. Celebrate Nuggets, come on. Those are my Nuggets for the week. Randall and Michael.
Back to you. The only thing missing from that, you were doing a little Denny Green, you were doing a little Cool in the Gang. I want to hear a little Axl Rose, Welcome to the Jungle one more time.
You want to hear that again?
I want to hear it one more time.
Sorry, that nugget didn't go down. Welcome to the jungle.
Ah, very, very good. Even threw a little Godfather in there.
Yes, I was waiting for a little bit of that.
You can make an offer you can't refuse.
Oh, welcome. This is the preview show.
All right, thanks so much, Veach, as always. Great job. Everybody loves Veach's Nuggets of the Week. All right, take time to take a look at this week's Power Rankings. And my top 5 this week was tough, and I've got a little movement at my top 5. Let's go ahead and take a look at it. I'm keeping Madisonville North Hopkins in at number 1. The Maroons have been impressive since week 2, but as we said, a big test tomorrow night against Logan County. I am moving Central all the way up to number 2 this week. The Bears are finally figuring things out the last 2 weeks, and they have been the team we thought they would be. Like Veach said, Denny Green, the Bears are who we thought they were. All right, impressive blowout wins against Wrights and Central. Holding steady at number 3, it is Gibson Southern. The Titans, again, put 60 on the board last week against Princeton. Big one tomorrow night, though, at Heritage Hills. I'm dropping Memorial to 4th after a close win against Bosse. The Bulldogs came to play. Give them credit. They played well, but Memorial was really out of sync in that first half. Probably a lot of that had to do with that Bosse defense, but Memorial just did not look good offensively, so I'm dropping them to number 4. And in the 5 spot, making their debut this week, I've got Fairfield. I don't see how you can keep the Mules out of the top 5 any longer. Listen to these crazy stats. Fairfield is 4-0, and that defense hasn't given up a single point this season. The Mules are bringing it. And by the way, again, as you saw on their schedule, we're making a trip to the train yard tomorrow night. We're going to take a look at Fairfield for the first time this year.
Well, Randall, we have some differences. A lot of the same teams. I'm keeping Memorial at number 1. Sometimes a win is a win. Next, the mighty Maroons. They're holding down the 2nd spot. Madisonville North Hopkins has held opponents to less than 9 points a game. And now Central, well, they enter my mix in the top 5. The Bears just smoked Castle in their last time out. I like them at number 3. And Gibson Southern moves to number 4 after demolishing Princeton last Friday. And Heritage Hills, they'll be at number 5. Patriots are averaging 43 points a game. And a little spoiler, only one of those teams can stay in the top 5 after Friday night.
You know, I can't argue with you for you having Heritage Hills in the top 5. The Patriots having an outstanding season as well. All right, time for staff picks for week number 6. I like Madisonville North Hopkins to win. Gibson Southern, I'm taking them over Heritage Hills, and I'm going to go with Mount Vernon over Boonville.
I'm sticking with Randall's picks, Madisonville North Hopkins, Gibson Southern, and I like Mount Vernon. I think the Wildcats will get a win on Friday.
Jessica agrees with Michael and myself. She's going Madisonville North Hopkins, Gibson Southern, and Mount Vernon. But Chris Veach has been a little prickly. No big surprise there. Veach going Madisonville North Hopkins, but he takes Heritage Hills to protect home field and win in the jungle, and he also likes Mount Vernon. On the season, I went 3-0 last week, so improved my 500 record. I am now at 9-6. Michael went 2-1. He is now 8-7. Jess also went 2-1 at 8-7. Veach matched me last week at 3-0 as well, so we are leading a very tight race, Veach and myself, in at 9-6. And again, don't forget, Home Team Friday, tomorrow night, 10:35 on ABC 25. Michael will be here, Jessica will be here, and then we've got a huge number of highlights. And again, the big one, the Home Team Friday Showdown, is that Gibson Southern at Heritage Hills game. And our TV game, don't forget, the big one down in Madisonville. It is Madisonville North Hopkins 5-0, taking on Logan County at 5-0. You can see it live on the CW7 tomorrow night at 7. All right, that's all the time we have for this week. Thanks for watching week 6 of the Home Team Friday preview show. We'll see everybody again next week on TriStateHomepage.com.